Testing, testing.
It's the Willy Show.
Starting in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
So, hello and welcome back to the 9th episode of The Willy Show. And I forgot that wrong, I'm sorry. But I'm sitting here with a good mate of mine, Fearon, who happens to be, I guess, a local Adelaide fella and a professional mountain biker, downhill racer, an absolute bloody legend of a bloke. So thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Really
no
appreciate
worries.
it. Yeah. So we're basically just going to go over, like, Connor's sort of growing up in Adelaide, coming from a small town that isn't, you know, it's not like growing up in Austria and becoming a professional mountain biker. So for you growing up in Adelaide, whereabouts in Adelaide was it, and when did you, and how did you actually get into mountain biking?
Yeah, like lived my whole life in Mitcham, so like at the foothills of kind of Belair and Blackwood and all that. Just, I don't know, as long as I can remember, I just remember riding bikes like around the yard, little BMXs, like when I was a kid, just it's all I do, like want to ride to school, go to the BMX track all the time. And yeah, I don't know, like I just remember riding bikes, like we never mountain bikes, but then I guess when I was probably like 9 or 10, like one of my brother's older mates or something like took me down to like a little mountain bike track. Like if you're from Adelaide, like Ando's at it, like you would know the track. But anyway, that was like the first downhill run that I did. Like, like when I was 10 or whatever. And I was just thought it was insane. Like, I don't know. Like, and then from then on, like just mountain biking was the type of kind of riding that I always wanted to do. So I don't know, like just, I don't remember ever really starting mountain biking, just something that I've always done and like just needed to ride a bike, like no matter what bike. But it's just weird, like if I get injured and not ride, it's like, it just feels super weird for me.
Like the end of the world.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I just don't know what to do.
So it was basically from that moment on at 10, it was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I didn't even really know like any pro riders or anything. Just like, I was like, wow, this is like mountain biking. This is sweet. So yeah, pretty much from then on, like that's all I did. Yeah.
And did you find that was probably older for a lot of dudes to get into mountain biking? Like maybe mountain bike, but a lot of guys like started BMX. Like I know I started BMX at 4, like racing. Like did you find that was like older to get into the sport at 10 or sort of average?
I guess it's probably average. Like I know like BMX, there is dudes like pretty much as soon as they can stand, they're racing BMX. But yeah. I think mountain bikes like a little bit different, and like it's not like I just started riding when I was 10. Like I was always into like doing jumps and stuff, my BMX and like going around the BMX track. But I guess like for mountain biking, like that's about as young as you'll see kind of people doing it. Yeah,
I guess heavier, bigger bikes and sort of BMX and everything as well.
Yeah. I think there's like less stepping stones getting to mountain bike as there is to BMX as well, like with the smaller bikes and stuff.
Oh yeah, fucking A. It's one of those. It's a weird one. Like BMX is so young. You get little kids that can't even walk into it.
Yeah.
And I guess you wouldn't really having fun on a mountain bike till you're actually strong enough to sort of move it around a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when did you start racing from then?
Well, I reckon it was pretty short. Like shortly after we did those like initial rides, like when I was 10, we started going to the bike shop and wanted to get like better mountain bikes. And I think my friend like saw a fly for one of the local races inside line, and it was 2005 at Fox Creek. There was a race going on, and we were like, yeah, we'll do it. Like got our parents to get stoked on it and take us out. So yeah, the first race, Fox Creek Steep 2005, super muddy. We were just like tiny kids, like so funny. Like when I see photos of it, really like where it all started, and like it was just the funnest thing. And I remember like seeing the elite riders and just like thought they were like my heroes instantly, like how cool they were, how fast they were going and stuff. So that was the first race happened 2005.
Fuck, and who was big around then as far as riders? That would have almost been like the Steve Peets.
Yeah, like PD. Like I didn't really know. Like I'd watched a few videos, and like Grant Allen was like seen him in a few like Red Bull Rampage videos, and and he was actually at the race, and I like didn't even know he was from Australia, let alone from Adelaide. And I was like, well, couldn't believe it. Like my mind was blown. And he like I remember seeing him do this jump, and I just thought it was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like fully starstruck from him.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. It's funny with Adelaide being a city of just over 1 million people and producing like top-notch mountain bikers.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
There's yourself and Troy currently, and then who you said before, and there's a few more.
Yeah, we've always had like yeah, top riders like Troy. Obviously, he's winning the overall at the World Cups at the moment. So like the best rider at the moment in the whole world, which is pretty crazy. Then yeah, I'm like trying to be up there as well. Not quite there, but like still two like dudes pretty much in the top 10 in the world from Adelaide is pretty crazy considering our hills are not very big compared to what everyone else in the world gets to practice on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like if you think like you got Fox Creek and like I'm not saying it's not impressive, but it's nothing like you go to Austria or Switzerland or something and look at the hills there. Like
Yeah,
holy
it just doesn't even compare. Like,
nah, not at all. And how was the competition growing up against Troy? Because you and Troy are very similar ages.
yeah. So he's like a year older than me. So we'd always, growing up in the ranks, you'd do like 2 years under 13s, 2 years under 15s, 2 years under 17s, and 19s till you're like in elite. And then, yeah, so like we would always have a year of racing each other. Then he would move up, I'd stay down. Then the year after we'd race. But yeah, it was like there was always like a battle going on. Like people always like, oh, Connor and Troy racing. Like, and I feel like he always I was always the underdog. Like growing up, like he would beat me most of the time, but like every so often I would get a win on him, and then I think people were pretty stoked on that just because they're like going for the underdog. But
Yeah.
like I think it's pretty crazy that like he started racing that same year under 13s, like in 2005, and just to think like how far we've both come to like both making a living out of it, like traveling the world for the last pretty much like almost 10 years now, just doing it. Yeah, and then hopefully for him, he'll win the overall this year, which would be like just huge, like to win the World Cup overall. So,
mate, that's fucking crazy. And how is he going at the moment? What's the sort of the points rankings? Like,
yeah,
I'm fucking terrible at keeping up with that.
Yeah,
sort of
so
stuff.
like we got three races in, and he's leading it. Then he's only got 5 points ahead of Loic Perini. So it's pretty close. And then like the Frenchies are good. The Frenchies are right up there, like a couple close behind Troy, but still 5 more races. So it'll be interesting. But I think Troy's like the most consistent rider ever. Like Loic, who's behind him, has had 2 wins and then like a 9th or something. And Troy's just had
where are you sitting at the moment?
14th. So yeah, like first couple races was a bit slow. Then Leo Gang got a good 6 in qualifying, then finished 8th. So yeah, got me up there in 14th. And the goal is always to finish in the top 10. So 5 more races to like get down a couple more spots.
It's fucking epic, man. Like you say it as if it's not the biggest fucking achievement, but 14th in the world. Like that's at the moment that's fucking insane. And sort of it's looking like you'll probably finish up a lot higher than there almost.
Yeah, it's always like I don't know. I think with me, like the last few years, I've always started out slow in the World Cup season. Just I think like people just do the off season. They're like motivated. They want to train for the next year, and I kind of get home and I'm like, oh sweet, time to chill. Then I do train hard, but just don't have the same mindset as those dudes. So like the World Cup's come around and everyone's I think a bit more prepared than me. And then spend the first race or two like catching up to like how fast they're going. Then like I don't know. I think it's just mental as well. Like in my head, like I'm like I'm happy with top 10, which is probably most people aren't. Like most people to get there, they just want to win. But I'm like just happy to be part of it and like top 10 is good. So if I'm doing worse than that, I'm like I need to do something. But then when I'm in the top 10, I'm like it's all right. But I should probably have that same mindset for like winning, but I just don't at the moment. It's just like
a pretty fucking humble way to look at it though.
Yeah,
to be like, look, I'm just fucking glad. Like it's almost like it almost sounds like you're a little bit starstruck of like I can't believe that I'm actually fucking I'm able to be part of this.
Yeah.
Because I guess you've looked up to those guys, idolized them, but at the same time you're one of them.
Yeah, it is. Like I don't know. Like it is. Yeah, it is. Like when you do stand back and think about it, that you are one of them. But at the races, I'm like, oh, these guys are fast. Like these guys are beating me for sure. Then I'll like beat half of them. But I don't know. I think I just underestimate like what I'm capable of. And yeah, like I said, I'm just so happy like making a living, like riding my bike. That winning is like I've already made it, even though I haven't like won like the World Cup or anything. But come like pretty close. Like finished 5th overall a couple of years ago, which is definitely like the highlight of my like life, pretty much. But yeah, like just happy. Like I could retire like happy without knowing that I've won like a big race or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll come as you get older and everything. That'll God, you've got many years ahead of you to really win one of those.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I think I would have to click it up a notch to keep up with the guys at the moment they're flying. But
yeah,
hopefully.
When you finished 5th overall, really put you on a stage for things like sponsors approaching you and everything from there?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that. After that, it was lucky for me that I was on a year where I was going to sign a new contract like the following year, so that worked out really well for me. Like money wise, I could obviously ask for like quite a bit more money coming fifth. Like there's not many people, like there's four more dudes in front of me, so
Yeah.
could it definitely made me worth a lot more. But yeah, it was weird. Like I remember the last race, I was coming fifth overall, but I wasn't even that nervous for it. Like no pressure because probably move back. Then I ended up I think I actually got fifth in that race as well at Andorra. Like that was the last race. I just couldn't even believe, even though I'd like done the whole season, I was sitting in fifth. I didn't think that I was going to do it, but I did. So
That's fucking awesome, man. That's one of those like sort of comebacks of the century. Like,
yeah.
or not even a comeback, but just like, I don't think I can do this. And then,
Yeah.
of course, you're out there and you did it.
Yeah.
And are you much of a nervous rider? Like in those, those days to hours leading up, how does that look for you? Is it a nervous thing or it's just jobs on?
Yeah, I'm definitely like super nervous. Like I remember like the first time I qualified really good was at Leogang, I think 2015. I actually qualified second. Like I hardly even qualify in the top 10, and I qualified second. But qualifying's the day before the race, and I didn't sleep 1 hour the whole night. I was so nervous, like couldn't eat food, and I was just like sick. And then I ended up finishing second that race, which is like I was so happy with that. But yeah, like and then like now I'm kind of a bit more chill. Like I've gotten used to it. Like the days before, I'm just kind of chilling. Like once you figure out that being nervous isn't going to do anything, like you can't. It's just such a hard sport. You have such a small time. Yeah, like for people unfamiliar, like we race for about 3 minutes, and the variables is like countless. Like it's just so it's and then the times are really close as well. So it just feels like there's so much pressure to do. Like you got to be on the edge, but it's so easy to cross the line and like make a mistake, and then you're way back in the field. Like just such small margin for error. But
it's a crazy sport, isn't it? As far as like it's a run. It's a 3 minute event.
yeah,
Like that's it.
yeah,
Like those weeks, months, years of training leading up leads to this one run.
yeah,
And I guess that is an incredible nervous thing. It's like the final lap of the Formula One or the MotoGP. It's like that every race. It's that final lap.
yeah,
Where one mistake, you're gone.
yeah, yeah. And they're like this year, like pretty much all the races, the top three guys have been within 1 second. And then like when you stand back and look at what we're riding down, like 3 minutes of like some quite gnarly track, and to think it pretty much always comes down to like 1 second between a few riders. Like there's more gap in like a 400 meter sprint running race when all they have to do is run for 400 meters with no other variables. But so like, I think that shows like how close to the like possible fastest time that these guys are going.
Yeah, and it's an incredible thing thinking, like you said, those variables and the variables on the weather changing between the runs and everything, and to end up finishing within a second of each other is insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's quite crazy. And do you ever feel? I know with downhill, because I'm my very, very limited racing of downhill, incredibly limited, but almost an unfair feeling of, well, I had significantly worse conditions than that guy had. Does that ever get to you a bit?
Yeah, sometimes like people know that, like it's inevitable. Like the finals will run over like 3 hours, and then especially like in the Alps in Europe, like the weather can change, and that plays a big part of it. But I think like it's hard to like make changes to accommodate that. It's always going to happen. Sometimes you like get lucky, and then you'll have a dry track and it'll rain for someone else, or you'll get unlucky and then you'll be in the rain while everyone else has had a dry track. So it's unfortunate, but it's not really something that you think about, because it's just you can't change it. You just have to do the best you can, like given the circumstances.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. And how is, as part of the pro field, the competition like off the track? As far as, are you guys all mates, or are you really competitive with one another? Or
oh yeah, where everyone is like mates. Everyone will like fly around the world in the off season, hang in everyone's houses and do all that stuff, because it's not like we're not racing like head to head like BMX or motocross or anything. So I think that takes away a lot of the, I don't know, like competition. Like you're pretty much just racing the clock really when it comes down to it. Like someone else is going to have a time, and you just need to beat that time. Like people will help each other. Like if they got a good line, like they'll show, or most people will show other people. Because at the end of the day, like you just have to get down faster than them. Nothing you do or they do is going to help
really
or like affect you.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good perspective on it. I hadn't thought of that. Like if you look at like most motorsports or anything like that, you can end up taking someone out or doing a dodgy move that really affects them.
Yeah.
Where you guys effectively you're racing a clock.
Yeah.
And it's just who's the fastest on that one run.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely makes it almost a fairer sport, but more of a bit of a gentleman's game.
Yeah.
To it. So when was your big step of going from a rider around Adelaide, state level rider, to I think I can make this on the world scene?
I don't know. Like to be honest, it was never really I never like had a leap of faith where I was like, I'm going for it. It was quite a smooth transition. Like I was fortunate enough. My parents were like taking me to the races in Australia, like going to the national rounds, and from then like I got like a team overseas. Kona saw me like when I was kind of getting to the age of like racing World Cups. And when the year you turn 16 is the year you can start like racing the World Cups. And then I was in year 12 that year, and pretty much like I went to like half a season I think on that year. Like did maybe 3 or 4 World Cups. Did pretty well. And that was with the team I'm with now, Kona. So just kept on like getting 1 or 2 year contracts with them, and then just like the team is good, but I can't really. I guess I was really fortunate where like my parents were able to help me like get to the races when I was younger, and kind of went straight to a pretty good team that I was happy with. Like there's quite a few people that have had a pretty rocky road to get to kind of where I am, but just fortunately I had it basically smooth sailing.
Your stars aligned.
Yeah.
And it has been, ever since I've followed you as a fan, and then, as a friend with your support over the time of what's happening with me, you've always been Kona. Like it's just been like Kona through and through.
Yeah.
And that relationship has been, I honestly, you might know this, but one of the longest contracts standing in the downhill.
Yeah. It's definitely up there. Like I reckon since I started racing World Cups in 2011, I reckon Greg Minnaar was on the same team he's on now, and he's like veteran. Like he's just been doing it for ages. Yeah. I think he's almost 40, and he's still like he got second at the last race, almost won it. So.
He's been around forever. There's some footage you can see of like Greg Minnaar on like what you think like an old school downhill bike.
Yeah.
And now he's still like he's a dad.
Yeah.
And he's like full competitive with everyone still. Crazy.
It's insane. Like he's just almost since I was born, he's been racing the World Cups, and Steve P as well. Like he was racing up until like 2 or 3 years ago, and he was racing World Cups before I was born, like in the early 1990s.
Fucking crazy.
Just retire, and he still always goes to races and like just loves it. So he's always there.
Yeah, it's epic. And I know from the little bit of experience I've had, mainly from my brother traveling around with a bit of the World Cup and whatever, of just it's a real sort of. It's more of an event and a party than serious racing. Like I know at the top it is incredibly serious as a UCI World Cup, but like you said, you and all the guys, you travel around the world with each other, and then you have a great time together.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just you just can't take it too seriously. Like, well, obviously there is some races that are there for business, but I mean, we're just racing bikes down a hill, like so. I mean, there is money to be made, and a lot of people take it seriously, but like the way I see it, and I think a lot of other races share the same opinion, like just may as well have fun along the way as well.
Yeah, fucking oath. And I think from some of the stuff I've seen, you guys definitely have a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah. I guess it's hard not to. Like we're just like at some of the best locations in the world and riding our bikes, which is what most of us would be doing anyway if we weren't professionals. So it's just basically a dream, like traveling the world, riding your bike. And
is it almost like a bit of a pinch yourself moment? Sometimes, and you're getting microphones and cameras stuffed in your face at these events, being like, oh shit, like I'm the spectacle here, not just someone else watching this event. Yeah,
it is pretty, it's crazy when you see people like, ask for your signature or whatever, and you're like, well, it's just like, I'm just a dude like you don't really see what's so special about it. But yeah, I guess you just need to stand back and be like, yeah, we are actually racing like the top tier level of this sport. And then when you see the crowds roll into like Scotland World Cup, which would have the biggest crowds ever, it's like people coming from the whole of UK and Europe, well, basically the whole world really coming over to watch you race down a hill. Then when you like finish on a good result, and then the finish corral is just thousands of people, pretty epic.
Oh, bro, it's an incredible sport. Like some of the stuff you've seen it, you're like, holy shit, like that's quite a spectacle. Like I've never been to a World Cup round, but some of the photos and everything, it's quite a spectacle. It's an incredible sport. And you mentioned that this is what I'd be doing even if I wasn't professional, that you'd be riding your bike.
Mm-hmm.
What do you reckon you would be doing? Like work-wise, if you weren't a full-time mountain biker?
Look, I actually have no idea because when I was luckily I never really had to really have a real job. Like I went obviously from school to racing the World Cups as my job, so got pretty lucky in that sense. And at that time, like at the end of school, I was like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. But like I guess with mountain biking, like we're not making millions and millions, so there will be a time when I will have to do something, and then I'm not actually too sure. Like I guess I got time to think about it. I like making things. I don't want to be in an office. Like I don't want to see the same thing every single day.
Oh, never, man. I know the feeling. Like, maybe you could swing over, come in the green with me.
Yeah.
Stomp around the bush.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah, it's a quite incredible thing. And you actually mentioned that, we don't make millions and millions. And it's a funny one because you look at the brands that are in downhill and the level of consistency and professionalism of the guys, yet the money that the sports have as far as you look at like Danny Ricciardo in the F1 and everything, the professionalism is the exact same as Troy or yourself, yet the contracts, he's on a $60 million a year contract over years. It's just not. And do you think that is a viewership thing or that causes that difference?
Yeah, I guess it probably is a viewership thing, and I guess obviously a more like fan base there is basically is going to be more more money in it. I know like in the 90s mountain biking was huge and there was a few people like earning over $1 million, but I think now there's probably one dude earning more than $1 million, which to me sounds insane, but when you look at other sports where people are earning $1 million a week, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's definitely sports earning less than mountain biking, but
yeah, that's true. Very much so. And do you find that sometimes the money almost not ruins it a bit, but it becomes a bit almost very monetized, the sport, and sometimes guys are purely there signing contracts for a money thing, not a loyalty sort of aspect?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of people like doing that. I think generally with our sport, everyone's pretty loyal.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. There's definitely like Kona, which the team I ride for, is like the company's a lot smaller than like most of the other ones. So obviously, they don't have like I think like the budgets of some they're going to vary quite a bit. So I think that's where like I don't know different wages and stuff come from. But
no, 100%, I get that, and I sort of feel like with yourself, even if another company came along who offered you more money, you're like, well, no, I'm pretty loyal to Kona. There's that sort of underlying, like, well, no, you've given me so much to get to the level I am. But I'm not sure. I'm not in the biz. I don't know how that goes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Kona's chill. Like, I'm happy with like what they pay me, and then like I'm pretty sure if someone came and offered me 3 times as much, the bosses at Kona would be like, wow, that's a good deal. You should take that. Like,
yeah,
they're like friends to me, so yeah, they're not gonna like stop me from doing that. Yeah. But yeah, like I would have to like get offered significantly more to want to leave. Like I know a lot of people aren't happy with the teams they're on, but I am happy. So you gotta like you can't. I don't want to risk. I've been on the team since 2011, and a lot of people will go to a company for 1 or 2 years for more money, not do well because they're not happy or don't get along with the team or whatever. Then they're like back to square one, have to look for a new team, like something else that works better.
And that's one of those weird things, isn't it? In your sort of thing is if you don't get picked up by a team, you don't have a job.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of spots to fill. So if you like, I know Kona's happy with me, I'm happy with Kona. So for me, like, I have to be really tempted to want to leave, and I've definitely like looked at other options over the last like couple years, but yeah, there's nothing is like like I just don't want to leave. So.
And does that ever play in your mind as far as like, you know, downhill is a dangerous sport? That risk of sort of injury or something happening, and you know, at the end of the day, it's a sport you do, but it's also your job. That you potentially think, oh shit, like if something goes wrong here, I might end up, you know, they can only support me for so long after this, and then sort of going downhill.
Yep. I guess like no one thinks they're gonna. Well, no one racing the boat like doing it professionally thinks they're gonna crash.
Yeah.
No one's. Well, I'm not scared. Like I don't. You just don't think you're gonna crash, but it's inevitable. Like it's just kind of like I haven't had any like really bad injuries, touch wood, but like it's just annoying. Like keep hurting my hands, and like that's always like had a couple surgeries, a few months off. It's just annoying. Like it's just annoying not being able to ride. Like but there's nothing you can do. Like sponsors know like if like injuries is part of the game. So I've like really haven't seen anyone like lose a contract or anything because they got injured. Like just be a bit wouldn't really work that well.
That's fucking epic. And sort of while we're on the topic of especially, you know, injuries, illness and whatever, sort of big shout out actually, Jared Graves came through today that he's actually cancer free.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, Jared, pretty much 12 months ago today, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it was 10 exactly, but
10.
Close to 12.
Yeah. Came down with a brain tumour after a seizure. If I'm wrong on this, don't quote me. And then, went through surgery, sort of the rehab from that and chemo and everything. And today from an MRI yesterday, I think, came out cancer-free. So that's fucking epic for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that was, I think shocked. I don't know, it's never really happened like in this mountain bike community, which is pretty small. Like, everyone was just shocked. Like it does just obviously happens to anyone at any time. Like
especially like he's a fucking legend in the Australian scene, around forever. Absolutely bloody.
Yeah. He's like definitely one of my idols because he's like raced World Cups. I don't know if he's won a World Cup or like he came very close one time, like second. Then like raced won 4 cross World Cups, went to the Olympics for BMX, and then won the Enduro series. Like to reach a top in one discipline is pretty insane. But like 4 or more is like
just born.
No one's even come close to doing that. Yeah,
fucking hell. And where have you seen in your sort of last 15 years riding, say, where mountain biking has sort of progressed, and where do you think it's heading to?
Yeah,
because it is changing massively.
Oh yeah. I think definitely like even since I started racing like the downhill World Cups, definitely more relaxed. Back then, people were like rocking up to the races or chilling in the off season, but now it's people have like telemetry on their bikes, testing all year round. It's just getting more like professional, I guess, like which is inevitable. Like there's money in it, so people want to get better, and sponsors are pushing all that. So I think it's harder for like just the, I guess, kind of my approach of just chilling out. Like that's kind of getting weeded out now. You really got to like just can't rely on like natural talent. I guess you got to put in the work and work hard to be at the top, which is what everyone's doing.
And as far as the equipment in your sort of past time, that's gone through the roof as well. Like the bikes you would have started on would barely even recognise, you know, a downhill bike now.
Yep.
And do you see that still having that massive progression that in 10 years it'll be significantly different, or we're almost at that pinnacle and it's just little bits here and there that we're doing?
Yeah, I feel like we're at the pinnacle, but I mean, I think since like people always saying, oh, you can't get better than this, and then something gets developed and it gets better. But even like from 10 years ago, riding my like downhill mountain bike in the tracks in Adelaide, it was like pretty gnarly. But now my new, like the bike we ride now, like it's pretty much sitting on a couch down these tracks just because it's just designed so well to handle the terrain. It's like just makes it so easy. And I think now it's the times is tighter as well. Like there's pretty much no time difference. Like in my race, it's 3 minutes, and if you make a mistake, that loses you 1 second. It's like 10 spots back because it's just so saturated. I think also because like since the bikes are getting so good, maybe like the rider's skill doesn't show as much. Like we're not seeing people win by like 10 seconds like we used to, just because I think everyone's able to go faster because their bikes are getting better. So like just raw talent like isn't going to get you that much of an advantage, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that across a lot of disciplines of sport too. You look at, say, the MotoGP or the Formula One, there are teams with a significant advantage.
Yep.
And if you look at, say, probably what I'm more over, like the GP. You used to see guys in the 500 win by laps.
Yeah.
Now it's the whole pack finishes. And do you think that there are companies in the downhill scene that have a significant sort of equipment advantage?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Like,
I know it's not as equipment oriented, but it still matters.
yeah, exactly. Like, you see, if you go to like one of the World Cups, some of the bigger teams have like full semi trailers and like suspension technicians, and then like all this other stuff, like masseuses, like pretty much every tool available to them, they'll have it. And then you go like look at a team like mine, which is a bit smaller. We have like a sprinter van over there, and we just had pretty much the bare tools. But then like people like me were like, we'll still be able to beat them. Like they just, I guess they've just got more of like the 1%ers kind of like ticked and crossed, and maybe makes it a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, you're standing up there at the top of the hill like on a mountain bike, and then not much of that stuff can help you there really.
It doesn't matter after that first kick off the fucking off the blocks. That shit sort of goes out the window, doesn't
exactly,
it?
Yeah,
fucking oath. Yeah, that's a quite incredible thing. I think that's what's so raw about the sort of mountain bike scene, is that it is, man versus man. Like equipment has a little bit to do with it, but it's so you on the bike at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And where do you see? Because what I've been seeing a lot in the past few years is that I was almost other disciplines are almost having a bit of a down, while the enduro series really has had a massive sort of kick up.
Yep.
Do you see that becoming something you'd move into more than the downhill, or?
I don't know. Like I raced a couple of the EWSs as well. It's just, I think the enduro like is pretty much like, I don't know. It's raw mountain biking, because the downhill is 3 minutes. If your bike breaks, you're not going to like do that well. But enduro, you have to like last you have to ride up to like 80 Ks mountain biking, which is a lot, with like few thousand meters of elevation, and then race down the hill. And your bike has to last the whole day. You have to be like a lot fitter than racing downhill. And the guys there are pretty much just as fast as the World Cup downhill guys, like on bikes with less travel. Like it is really hard, but I don't think I've got like, I'd have to train, I think, a bit differently to like if I was going to swap. But at the moment, the EWS is really fun, I think, because it's not exactly my job. So it's kind of like a bit like, I don't have the pressure. But
And does that ever take it away from you? You mentioned that, that's my job. Does that ever take the fun out for you? Like, I know you just love riding.
Yeah.
But is it ever like, you just don't feel like going out for a ride today, but it's like, well, this is people pay me to fucking do this. Like, I need to go and do it. Does that ever sort of come on to you?
Never like when I'm riding, because I always just want to ride. But I think at the race, like I love racing, but it's like you see some of the privateers, they're kind of there on a holiday doing the races as well. I'm like, I'm kind of jealous of that. Like they don't care where they finish. Then the first two races this year, like just really didn't go that well for me. And I just felt kind of guilty, because like, people are paying me to kind of like get good results, and I'm not. And I don't really care like for me, but I was like, people are paying for this, like better like step on it in the next couple of races. So
yeah,
that's kind of like where I'd wish that I didn't have that. But I mean, my sponsors are chill. They're not going to be like calling me up, why'd you get 25th or whatever.
Yeah. And do you think there is a bit of that? Like of some people getting a
definitely.
call up, like you're not fucking performing for it?
Yeah, probably not a call up, but they probably get hinted at. Like if someone's like not doing that well, like some of the teams are pretty cutthroat, so they'll be like, "Oh, yep, contract's up. Like, see you later. Haven't been doing that well. Pay someone else to try and do it." Which is like another reason why I've just stayed with the team, because there's none of that. They're not really interested in getting anyone else. They're just like, here's what I'm doing.
Bullshit bureaucracy that just takes the fucking fun out
Yeah,
of it.
which is actually probably another reason why that I've stayed, because I really don't want that pressure. Like, I don't want to sign for more money to another team, and they're like knowing that they hiring me to get results.
Yeah,
like that would kill me. Like,
yeah, fucking A. And you're in between rounds at the moment, and where is actually the next round?
Yeah, in Andorra, like a little country next to Spain. And
yeah.
So yeah.
And how's it looking like for you this next couple of weeks? Because you head off next Sunday, you were saying. How's this couple of weeks looking for you? Is it a bit of a relax back here, or is it serious training? Or
yeah, a bit of both. Like train hard, but it's not like we're training 10 hours like a day. Like so, I do train hard, but at the same time, I'm trying to like I don't want to think about when I'm not at the races, I don't want to think about racing. Like even when I'm at the races, I don't want to think about racing because it makes me like nervous or whatever. But so I'm just, I guess, trying to enjoy my time at home because I'll be away for 3 months, which is probably sounds like a holiday to some, but like I've been doing it for like I don't know what's that like must be 8 years now. Like going away for 4 months every year, like kind of gets old and just kind of want to spend more time at home, but got to go race. So
it's a pretty brutal slog, 3 months at a time over.
Yeah,
like it like you said, it's not a holiday.
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, you're there to perform and to race, and I know that pressure isn't there off the team, but it's still sort of that underlying just self pressure that you want to do well.
Yeah,
like no one, I guess, could put as much pressure on you as you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And how's your off the bike training as far as like gym work, fitness, and everything? How much of that is there?
I guess it depends who you ask. Like, I would go to the gym with like a personal trainer 2 times a week, and probably go again by myself like once a week. Just kind of doing like high intensity stuff, like not huge like weights, but just not like strictly cardio. Like I guess kind of like CrossFit stuff without calling it CrossFit.
Yeah.
A lot of people do like really bike specific things, like trying to do like squats in the stance you're going to be on your bike. But yeah, I don't really do that. Just kind of like try to be a good athlete, I guess, be fit as strong as possible.
Yeah, all around. And it's one of those. It's a weird mix, sort of fitness for downhill, I guess, because it's a bit longer than a sprint, but it's not an enduro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need that strength because in the day you're still throwing around a pretty big bike.
Yep.
And the positions you can get a bike like that into, but then you need that strength, but you need that fitness to actually pedal your way through a fucking run.
Yep.
Have you ever struggled on fitness, or has it just been something that's sort of come to you very naturally?
Like I've always been a pretty fit person. Like I know like for the enduros like that I've raced, definitely not as fit as those dudes, but they're putting in like hours and hours on the bike every day, and I'm not doing that. Like I'll ride for like maybe 2 hours or 3 hours, like a day or every couple of days. But yeah, like I know some of the dudes are like they really like striving to be like the best they can be, so they're like really fit. But yeah, like I don't know. I know I'm like not the fittest guy out there, but I'm doing pretty good, I reckon.
yeah, fucking A. And we got asked. You signed with an Australian team. Let me know if I pronounce this wrong. Is it Darko?
Oh, yep, Darko.
You signed with them. Was it this year?
Yep.
And they're mentioning how fucking cool all the stuff looks.
Yep.
How did you sort of come about that?
Oh, well, like I'd been sponsored by like a bigger company, Fox, for like years and years, since 2011 till last year. And I remember like saying to the team manager, like I guess with the bigger teams, like you like speak to like some athlete manager there, like try to get your stuff. And I was just sick of like being involved in such a big company. And I remember like speaking about it, like, oh, I wish this Darko company has been around for a few years. And I said to Maddie, like the manager, I was like, I wish I could just be riding for a company like that. Then like I wasn't really happy with kind of the people like in charge. And then anyway, like Maddie ended up going around to Darko and like asked Mandy, the owner, like, would you be interested? And she actually was, which is like, I didn't know this was happening. Then he said, oh yeah, they're keen. So I was like stoked. So yeah, and just the fact that they're like a small Australian company, then I feel like I'm able to help them take them like onto the World Cup circuit and get some exposure international. Like it was just awesome for me to like, I really wanted to do that.
That's epic. And have they had lots of success with you jumping on the team?
Don't know. Hopefully they have, but I mean, like,
that sort of shows they have.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, stupid question.
Yeah, like it is cool. Like I do see it popping up. Like when I'm overseas, like see some guys shredding in the Darko stuff, and I'm like, oh, sick.
It's fucking epic.
Yeah, good to see it popping up.
Yeah, man. And another one I've got is what do you think of the Australian mountain bike scene and the direction it's heading in? Do you see places like Medina and Derby becoming pivotal in producing more good locations and good riders?
Yeah, like definitely yes. In Adelaide, I know we're just getting so many like little, like the government's funding bike parks, like in national parks and stuff, like for people to just go ride for free, which is pretty crazy. Like to think that our sport, like the government is paying for tracks for us to ride for free. Like, so, and then I guess in Adelaide as well, it's all pretty easy tracks, which for like the better riders, it might be a bit boring, but at the end of the day, like it's good for people getting into the sport. And I was like, I'm even like in the last few years, the amount of mountain biking in like Adelaide is, and I assume the whole of Australia is just skyrocketed, which is awesome. Like hopefully it's just like a thing that people do with their kids and like whole families, just because it's a sweet sport. And then yeah, like all the stuff they're building in Tassie, like Derby and Medina. Like I think Medina is definitely like the best riding there is in Australia. Like
Really?
yeah, straight up. Like it's what you. I didn't even know that they had riding like that in Australia because it's just about 8 times as big as the mountains in Adelaide. Like gnarly tracks. It's what you really ride over in Europe and stuff. But yeah, just in Tasmania. And then obviously like with harder tracks like that, there's going to be better riders. So I really hope like some good riders come out of Tassie and Australia in general.
Oh, fucking hey, man. It's one of those big things I love seeing, and you would be the same seeing Aussies do well.
Yep.
Like I know you know, even though one of your competitors, you speak of, you know, like Troy and fucking Jack and everyone doing so well. It's like, well, fucking good on them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, it's sort of one of the boys.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the fucking Aussie lads. And the next one is your favourite things to ride, filming at locations like, oh God, excuse my pronunciation, Radalac for your gamble segment or racing in a World Cup.
Yep.
Like, yeah, what do you like to ride? Like, do you like the steep sort of rocky stuff or
Yeah.
like loamy or like you're from Adelaide, fucking clay?
Just like, yeah, like I love on my just riding flow tracks on my enduro bike. Like Retallick is such a sweet place to ride. It's like a private bike park. I guess in overseas they have like private ski lodges where they have like a couple of rooms in a lodge, and then basically all the rich people can like stay at this lodge and get like private shuttled like skiing. And then anyway, this Retallick place is just that's what they do in the winter, but they changed the same model for like mountain biking in the summer. So
fucking
it's pretty much like private mountain bike park when you book in there, and their tracks are just like so flowy and sick. Like when the mountains are that big, like so yeah. Basically, like my favorite thing to do is like be on the huge mountains overseas and being able to descend for like 20 minutes straight on flow tracks.
Fuck, is there somewhere in the world you'd really want to ride that you haven't? Like, is there a country like you're watching telly and you're like, fuck, I'd really love to ride those hills and I just haven't been there?
I don't know. I guess I'm pretty lucky. Like, there's a few spots that I haven't been, but I feel like I've been to most of the epic spots. But nothing like shoots to mind quickly that I want to go to that I haven't been.
Because I bring that up because I remember my whole time when I was in Afghanistan was like, this used to be the sickest fucking place to ride a bike. Bro, I remember on Pink Bike, this is like well before I was in about 10 years ago, they had dudes jump a border and go ride because the Himalayas actually run a bit through Afghan. They border Nepal. And there were some dudes riding some bikes there ages back. And when I went there looking at shit, being like, this would be fucking sick.
Yeah.
So maybe we should get a crew together.
Yeah, that would be sick.
We'll hit up the command. It's like, look, it might be a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
We'll jump a border and we'll go
Just
right.
make it a bit more dangerous than it already is.
Yeah, fucking hope. You know, that downhilling, the last thing we need some bullets in there. It's already fucking dangerous enough. And do you have, and it doesn't have to be from World Cup racing, it can be from any of your sort of career racing, a real standout, like favourite memory of, you know, when something happened or just a fantastic memory of it?
I reckon actually the coolest thing that I can remember is like racing the EWS, like the Enduro World Series that was in Tasmania earlier this year, like going in with no expectations, and then like I don't know, like everything just went perfectly for me, and then I ended up getting third, which is just like I like didn't even expect it. And then there was just so many Australian fans there as well. Like never seen that many people like at a race in Australia. They were just going from one stage to the next, like cheering everyone on. It just felt cool, like because there's a few Australian guys that are super strong EWS, but felt like I was a bit of like the underdog to be on the podium for like the Australian fans. Just felt awesome, like finishing the day and then they're all there cheering you on, like getting on the podium. Like
Fucking oath. And do you find your best supporters are the Aussies that come over?
oh yeah, for sure, yeah, like having the big races like that in Tasmania for the EWS, and then the few World Cups we had in Cairns, like the Australian crowd it just makes you go that much better, and it's different to the rest of the world. Like they're louder and there's just more of them. Like they just love it.
Bit fucking loose. It's
Yeah,
a bunch of fucking convicts up there.
yeah.
Screaming shit. But do you reckon you're better known sort of on outside mountain bike community? Do you find you're better known in Australia or overseas?
Probably in Australia, I reckon. Like,
Yeah.
I am always surprised, like overseas, like how many people will like know me or whatever. Like, I'll just be at a bike park and then someone will be like, "Oh, hey, like Connor," but how do you know my name? Like, a bit random, but feels random. But yeah, I guess it always takes me by surprise. Like people across the world like know who you are.
That's fucking cool, man. And what's your view on the Crankworks? Do you think that's disrupting the World Cups at all, or is it just an event running linearly to it?
It's not. I don't think it's disrupting it. I think for most of the like downhill kind of riders, the World Cups is like the main focus, like still the biggest thing. But the Crankworks is definitely more like a kind of like a party tour, like going on. Like people do a couple of other events like Pump Track and stuff like that. But I hope the Crankworks gets bigger and has like another. There's like another world kind of series, like the Crankworks is becoming. Just I don't know. I have more fun going to Crankworks and World Cups, and then if the opportunity for me ever came that I could make a living like not racing the World Cups and like doing Crankworks and stuff, I would like do it straight away.
Just a bit less sort of pressure on you, a bit more of a party.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking oath. And you know, you've sort of mentioned that you travel the world, working, racing, everything. That is a fucking high pressure environment. It's a fucking pressure cooker.
Yeah.
How have you really dealt with that? Are there any sort of coping mechanisms you've had to really deal with that stress?
I think I just try to forget about it. Like when I'm at the race, I'm just like, oh, think of something else. Like usually like thinking that I don't even want to be here, but it's weird. Like the weirdest thing is like sitting in the. I always tell people it's like standing in line for like a roller coaster that you really don't want to do, and like the roller coaster is your race, and it's just like you're in the line, you're getting closer to your start time, and it's coming. You don't want to do it, but it's coming and scary. But once you get on, like, and you start the race, it's actually fine. Like the adrenaline kicks in, and you just focus on what you have to do. And then the weirdest moments is like when you're sitting in the start gate and there's just like 30 seconds to go. You're just sitting there, and then time just seems to stand still. Then you go, and then before you know it's over. So weird. Feeling.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would be a fairly incredible, like when you're out in that track, it's although, it's just lined with people, almost an incredibly lonely place. Like you're out there by yourself, it's you but I guess that's a sort of good mindset to get in.
Yeah.
Is it's just you on the bike on another run.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't think like with all the people, like, I don't notice anything in my race. Like people were just yelling at you, but you just don't even think, you don't even hear it or anything. You just like in the zen zone, just like going for it. It's
funny people who are super focused like that, because you just sort of forget things. Like you might even get to the bottom of the run and be like, oh yeah, like how's that? And you're like, I don't remember fucking any of that.
Yeah.
Because my big experience with that is like guys skydiving.
Yeah.
And going down, I'm like, oh yeah, so do you remember? Like I remember being in the plane and landing, and everything else was just off that fucking focused on not dying. It was like, fuck, and that's probably a good zone to get in.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting actually to take like a fuckload of run times of like when you're just out for a ride, and then when you're actually on a race run, and see if you actually would almost ride faster when you're out there fucking having fun.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, no. Like I know that under the pressure of racing, that I'm going to go faster. Like during a race weekend, like there'll be time training on the first day, and I'll like try hard, but I'll be like not really that good. And I feel like the people who are winning time training, they're just like they can just go the top speed no matter what. But then like in qualifying, a bit more pressure, I'll be closer to the time, like beat a few more people. Then in race run, that's when I'll have my best result, like, and the closest time to the fastest time in race run, because like the pressure's on, and that's what I need to like go fast. Like,
that's what you want it to perform under that fucking pressure. Might be plenty of guys who are just as fast as anyone at the top, but dealing with that pressure is just something that some guys can and can't do.
Yeah, and it's funny, like I've worked out that the more nervous I am, usually like the better I'm going to do. So it's kind of cool to like, I don't know, like when I am super nervous, it doesn't feel good, but I'm like, usually I'll do better now. So it's kind of like a bit of a light and a bad situation.
Yeah, man, fucking A. And a bit more of a lighter one. Would you prefer, a good whip or a good berm? Because I know you're infamous for cornering.
Yep.
Like, well, I'll say infamous, mainly for the track builders. Because I'm a whip guy to watch anyway. But yeah, it got sent through before.
Yeah, I think we need more jumps in the World Cup tracks. So like, whip would be cool.
Yeah, is that the actually? Well, if you were to incorporate something into the tracks, like something to change, would it be more jumps on the track?
Yeah, well, me and my friends were actually saying how sweet it'd be if they would build like a big double after the finish line, just for like being able to do big whips. So it doesn't matter for your race. Like, so we think every single racetrack should have a big double after the finish line.
Fucking hell, that's what they need to jump on too.
Yeah,
That's fucking sick. And what are you thinking of? Because Kona's recently, and correct me if I'm wrong, jumping on the 29-inch downhill bandwagon.
yeah,
What's your thoughts on that? Have you ridden one?
yeah. So I've been racing the 29er, like the biggest wheels you can get, pretty much, for your downhill bike, for last year and this year, and it's just like it is. I think it's just better. Like when you ride it, the bigger wheels, like it just rolls over stuff easier. But I have like always said, as soon as I retire, like this isn't my job. I'm not riding anymore because it just takes the fun out. Like instead of like having to use your body like and skill to get over some obstacles, your bigger wheels are just doing it more like just autopilot, like rolling over stuff.
And do you see that becoming the complete norm across?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's easier, so more people are going to want to do it.
Easier, faster.
Yeah.
Everything. And what's your view on the infamous e-bikes? I know you and me have talked about this over lunch before,
Yeah.
if it's almost cheating, but
Yeah.
they're changing the world almost.
Yeah. Well, I think they're good. Like they're getting more people out on the tracks, which in the end is better. Like the more people riding mountain bikes, I think is good. I don't know. Like at the moment, the e-bikes is weighing like 5 to 10 kilos heavier than a normal mountain bike. So for me to ride one, like going downhill on it, it's not as good. So like some people, they can ride 50 Ks in 3 hours instead of doing like 30 Ks on a normal mountain bike, which for them is good. But for me, it's like, it's not as fun to go down the hill. So there's no point in me like going faster uphill.
Yeah, no, that's fucking fair. And do you see, and this may actually be happening, almost like e-bike rate, like EWS series?
Yeah, it is. I think there's like a world.
Is?
There's a world. I'm pretty sure there's a World Cup. Yeah, like, and they're having world championships. I don't actually even know what the format is, but there is, like e-bike racing going on. But not really interested at the moment.
Nah, it's a pretty fucking hard one to police. It's
yeah,
not really cycling, is it?
Well, it's just like if one bike is just a little bit better than the other one, then they have like the biggest advantage. But
yeah, fucking hell. And where do you see the rest of this year going for you?
hopefully just stay healthy, like try and climb up the ladder a bit more. Like I said, 14th at the moment in the series, so would like to move up a bit more, but we'll see. Like just gotta, it feels like there's so much more racing going on, but like I'll leave Sunday and I'll be back in less than 12 weeks and it'll be all be done. So just hopefully like just keep having good races and not crash, not get hurt, and
yeah, fucking A. And once all the riding's done and dusted for the year, what's on for you then? Bit of travel, bit of, like, I know you're going to your pretty heavy off season, but you know, as far as fun wise, what are you up to?
I like to ride a bit of motocross when I'm home. That's kind of like what I like to do in my free time. Then just like work on my house, which is kind of cool because like I do have, like when I get home, I pretty much have like minimal few races in the off season, but like there's like 6 months where I have a lot of spare time to like just do training and whatever. But I don't know, I guess like I like chilling at home. Like when I'm home, I don't really want to go on any more holidays. Like being home is a holiday kind of. So, and then like I like traveling around Australia. Like I think when I retire, I'm just like never going to go overseas again.
Oh,
After
really?
just like, yeah, just I don't know. Like maybe that is like I'm super spoiled being able to travel around for my job, but now I'm just sick of it. Sick of going on planes. Like sick of it. So I think when I retire, I'm just going to go like on a tour of Australia. I think that sounds like something I'd do.
Fucking Aussie boy through and through.
Yeah.
Get a big fucking van and
Yeah.
misses and just cruise around.
Get a big coaster bus or something.
Fucking A, just make sure you leave at peak hour every day to piss everyone off like me going.
Yeah.
Like fuck. And before we sort of finishing up, is there anything else, you know, you'd like to mention of like your riding or, you know, for fans or anything?
No, I feel like
I think we've covered a bit.
Yeah, covered a fair bit of base.
Yeah. Well, from the bottom of my heart, you know, thank you so much, man, for coming in and sort of the ongoing support. For those of you who don't know, me and Con have a bit of a, I don't even know how we first came in touch, but just through, you know, social media, which used correctly is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers for everything. And, you know, coming on something like this, you know, helps me out a shitload, and I hope we can get sort of your story out there because I think a lot of people might see you on the news and actually not know you're a fucking local Adelaide guy who just fucking froths Australia.
Yeah.
So that's fucking epic, man. So, you know, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. And I know everyone, fucking best of luck for the remaining season and the a fucking long career and see you up on that fucking top step.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully,
We know we can get there. You just need that fucking.
got
good
really
luck.
close. I got the best result I got was second, and I just wish I just won. Like, so it could be over. Like, just had done it, but still haven't done it. So maybe one day.
Mate, you'll do it. Then I'm fucking doing it again.
Yeah,
Fuck it. It'll be that constant grind.
yeah. We'll get there.
Well, mate, the fucking whole of Australia's behind you. So thanks very much, man, for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. So for everyone who's sat through this, hopefully I wasn't talking too much shit, and you got something out of this. So thank you very much again for joining episode with Connor Fearon. Great mate, fantastic mountain biker. And then we've got another show tonight talking about drugs and alcohol. So it's a fair bit of a change. But yeah. So thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
No worries.